How's it going? This is Chris from Chris's Comments. It's Hump Day Wednesday. We got ourselves a subject here about Biden, who's going to be doing a speech about his 1.8 trillion infrastructure economic plan, something like that. Something to do with the taxes and taxing the rich, or rather the wealthy, which sounds pretty good. I think my only one complaint is that it's only taxing people that make $1 million or more a year. I think anybody that makes $500,000 should also be taxed. Maybe not as heavily as the millionaires, but definitely taxed also. You know, the reason why I say that is because nothing really bad will happen to that person that's making $500,000 a year. As sure as nothing really bad is happening to those of us that are making $20,000 a year or less. You know, the problem is that it's a little bit difficult to live because it's so restrictive. You're making 20 G's a year or less, you're more than likely living paycheck to paycheck, which complicates a lot of crap. It complicates a lot of stuff, particularly with medicines to keep you moving, and as well as everyday things like shoes, clothes. You know, here's an example of what I'm talking about. This says San Antonio Museum of Art. That's what SAMA is. I used to be a groundskeeper there and a little custodial work. Excuse me. And a little custodial work, and I'm still wearing shirts like this. This is the year 2021, and I'm still wearing this when I was working over there at 2010. Okay, not that I don't have any shirts. It's just that I'm a ride shirt driver, and I prefer to at least wear a collared shirt when I'm doing that. And because I have the option of not spending any money for new shirts, I'm taking advantage of that. This has been sitting in my closet for like so long, and to be honest, if I budget it, I can actually get a whole crap load, a whole new wardrobe. But here's the thing, I'm single now. I don't have any more kids to take care of. I was taking care of 2 kids. They were my ex-common law wife children. They were already birthed. So I can actually budget that way. Now, I'm a rare species. There's a lot of people out there, especially here in San Antonio, where a man and a woman get together and each of them also have kids. So that's a larger family to take care of, whether it be through child support, as well as taking care of the kids that they currently have, or actually uniting all of them together. I've seen both ends of the spectrum. For some people, it's a burden. For others, it just makes a bigger, better family. I've seen both ends of that spectrum, and I see the huge costs that they present to me at their, when we're getting together for barbecues or whatever, or a UFC fight night, while waiting for the main event. We're conversing and I'm listening to them, and oh my God, they go through a lot of payments. You go through a crap load of payments and necessities to take care of, as well as just the simple luxuries that do that. When I buy a big plate of nachos for us to share and a couple of drinks, they're freaking grateful, and they just tend to spill the beans as to how messed up it is with these high costs of living, and it's a trip. It is a trip. You guys are going through so much out there. So to hear a president say he's going to tax the wealthy to give all you out there a break, those of you, especially the families and all this stuff, That is fantastic. I've got my fingers crossed. I hope it actually pans out and falls through, and I hope it really just takes off and kickstart running and everything and does well. It's very important, because who knows, I myself might find somebody that will want to have a family with me. I've never brought any children into this world, but that doesn't mean that that's never going to happen. Who knows? Something like this that eases everybody into a decent way of living, to where we can actually have a middle class again. I'm actually old enough to remember a middle class lifestyle. Before this whole, everything costs too much and everybody falls into debt. Any kind of a plan could get you into debt. Any kind of reward for education could get you into debt. And you just be hurting. And then to top it all off, you got the foreclosure stuff that you see on the television and the infomercials or whatever. Foreclose your house, sell this, use this as collateral, use that as collateral, and you can get large sums of money, and you can actually live the life that you like to live. Those all were fantastic, but they came with huge catches, starting with interests, payments, balloon payments, and stuff that wound up just jacking up society pretty bad. But back to the original subject, about the taxations for Biden, which technically this is going to be something that we're going to have to look out for. But we'll worry about that if and when the Biden tax plan actually gets into effect. Right now, the hype is going to be that it's too much money to shoot for. It's $1 trillion for over 10 years. We're in the billions. We're getting back from a pandemic, so we're going to be back into the tens to hundreds of millions of billions of dollars per year through taxes and economic growth. Before the pandemic, we had this tax plan guy. I forgot who he was, but he always said, "Get your billions back, America," as if we're missing out on this big, missing out on this thing of opening up the policies book to see how much taxes we could get back. Now obviously no one person and or family got billions of dollars of taxes back, obviously. But the thing to catch on to what that man was saying when he was doing his big promotional advertisement of, use my tax plan, the key element there was the simple fact that with so many people working, legal and illegal, paying taxes, all the way up to the businesses, the small businesses that were paying their fair share of taxes, and all the way up to CEOs and millionaires who weren't. We were making hundreds of billions of dollars. We were making billions of dollars, and again, without the wealthy putting in their fair share. And I remember saying this, one of my earlier videos, one of my earlier comments when I first started this year was talking about Biden's infrastructure tax plan. And not only was I commenting about how it all makes sense and how well it can actually be put into place, it's something that I still actually have to stand by. This will be so much more beneficial that it'll literally come up to almost 40% of the percentage rate of the economic growth. It'll provide almost 40%, chipping in to the economy, which would be just fantastically helpful you know, for today's society. We're talking about something that won't be weighing so heavily on us, the average workers. Okay, that being said, the personal aspect on my part is me being a rideshare driver. You know, that huge break of economic taxations will, still come back, easing up on, everybody's paychecks, to where they can also start using stuff like the rideshare a lot more than ever. So somebody like me is looking extremely forward to it, and I'll be writing my headquarters, please don't raise the rates. Once those stimulus checks came out, you had I think it was Lyft that was jacking up the prices immensely. People were paying twice the amount of for fares for their rides to get out there, and it was really ridiculous. It was just idiotic. I had to shut off the Lyft app and go to the others, to the other one, and stick with them, and it's fine. Really, I'm still making a living and everything, so it really hasn't hurt me per se. But I will be writing, nevertheless, to both rideshare apps. Please don't jack up the price, and please stop jacking up the prices. Because the more and more they make it, fluid, the more and more they break out the deals and all this stuff, which Lyft used to be really good at doing. Lyft, you could always get a ride requester because of all the specials and the coupons and the discounts that they were doing. And financially, overall investment, it wound up biting back at them, because of the discounts that they were giving, as opposed to Uber that just stayed with the mediocre flow, more or less the same price range. That actually helped out the company a heck of a lot more than Lyft. There were a few reports about how Lyft might actually have been tanking, how they might actually have to sell their company to Uber. It was really up in the air at the time. It was the equivalent of Coke and Pepsi situation. Pepsi almost had the opportunity to buy Coke at one point in time, but they're like, what do we need you for? We don't need you. Go away, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And now later on, it wound up kicking him, wound up biting back. So yeah, the taxations is gonna be helping. I only hope that big businesses and corporations stop price gouging, especially our ride shares. I'd really like to work both of them. However, if I'm stuck with just one ride share, that's fine. As long as they just don't overdo it. We got to really make a demand for all of our stores and all of our services to please just keep it at the same level. It would help out immensely as well, which is another thing that we've got to look at. There's a lot of people that are saying that if these taxations get put into place, there's going to be lots of job losses and lots of this and that and all this other. You're all doomed. Heard that before? So that's, which kind of leads me to this next subject, and I really wasn't sure about this because I don't really want to use up the last 10 minutes about it, but don't say but. However, I'm still hearing about the threats of doom should the taxes take effect, should minimum wage be up to $15 an hour. You know, you go to a McDonald's, you're going to want a Happy Meal. You're going to have to pay $20 for a Happy Meal at McDonald's, which I just really, I mean, I really have to laugh at that. And of course, you'll see that leads to, you know, I have to try to control myself because it's why is that funny? You think it's funny? What are you, socialist or a communist or something? You'll see. I get that a lot. And it's like, yeah, we'll see. Which, to be honest, those doomsday theories and apocalyptic predictions, they've been laid on me as far as young as the age of 14. I was a young kid here in San Antonio. I used to walk out and meet people and all this stuff. Now, my family never really thought anything of it because back in the 80s, you could still live sort of a Tom Sawyer kind of childhood. You know, well, I want to go exploring. I want to go see this side of town. I want to do this. I want to do that. But while I did that and got to know my city, I also got to know the Damn the Man crowd, which really is what had me, you know, tripping, whether it be acid tripping or, you know, stoking, token, whatever. You know, I met those guys. And they filled me in on these doomsday prophecies that, you know, honestly, I think started from them. Because you got to be whacked out on dope in order to be, you know, to come up with this crap. Big government, little government, money, it's all there. We can all, you know, there's plenty to go around. There isn't any. Something that would boost the economy. There isn't any, but would boost the economy if we legalize this, you know, this weed that we're smoking, you know, which, you know, eventually you wound up catching the gist of it all. That's really all that they wanted at the time, you know, just to be able to legally smoke weed. Now we've got a few states that permit it, and nothing catatonic or, you know, apocalyptic has taken place. So, you know, it's just a matter of time before that happens. But back to the taxations, you know, we got people saying that, you know, you can't do anything without price raises and the expense and all this stuff. Again, just for making McDonald's workers pay, you know, get paid minimum wage, which is $15. Okay. It's silly, and it's the most ridiculous thing that I've been hearing since the age of 14. Okay, I'm 48 by the time of this recording. I am 48 now. And it's the same doomsday crap that's been going on. You can't raise the minimum wage, you know. Well, that was said back when I was working as a young teenager at $4.10. When it went up to $4.25 and then later on $4.75 during the Clinton administration. And we were all supposed to be doomed. We weren't doomed, you know. People started paying $5 an hour, you know. We were supposed to be doomed. We weren't doomed. The life still goes on, you know. People are still doing their business. So to hear it now, 2 decades later, where the most anybody is paying for as far as minimum wage goes is here in Texas $7.75, nowhere near $15 an hour. You know, it just sounds so dumb to hear this, and it sounds so dumb to hear corporations are going to start laying off jobs if they have to pay taxes. That has also been going on. Job layoffs have been going on since the beginning of corporations. How? By way of the famous annual employee review, where they find something wrong and fire them. There's also temp agencies. You're hired after you do a promotion period of time for our company. A lot of people don't make it through that probational time. They actually get released before, the quarter year to, a whole year's worth of time that makes them eligible for actual hire on. That's not what happens. They get booted out. Job layoffs are always going to be happening, regardless of whether they're taxed or not. Which lately, for the past 2 decades or so, since the Reaganomics era, they haven't been taxed. And we've been looking at people losing their jobs left and right. Homelessness, as a result, has been elevating the homeless rate, And so to say, oh, we can't tax the wealthy, you're going to lose jobs and there'll be a bunch of homeless people. Well, that's already going on. And if they're saying we can't do this because more people will be fired and more people will be homeless, well, it only stands to reason that those corporations don't deserve to be in existence. They're the ones that should be shut down, since they can't keep their workers. Since those workers can't maintain their houses, it only stands to reason that those corporations shouldn't be around. They should be fined more than ever. Why? Because they can't live up to the demands of a corporation, keeping America's economic flow stable. Everybody's going to the breadline. Everybody's signing for welfare. Everybody's signing up for unemployment because they can't maintain their employees. They can't maintain their employee count. We saw the exact same thing during the Obama administration when he made Obamacare, the Healthcare Act reform, where companies and corporations that have 300 people or more as an employee, with an employment count, have to pitch in to, along with the taxes that goes into the healthcare. Okay, that was the Obamacare thing. I was working at a assembly line factory when that took place, and there were several divisions where the employment count just dropped real low because of this one particular rule that says corporations pay their fair share. Okay, now that company is still thriving. In my opinion, it should be shut down. It should be shut down. If you literally have to weasel the way out of paying your fair share of taxes by letting people go. To top it all off, they were in a space where they were renting out a portion from an entirely different assembly company who had to actually move out to go find a place of their own. Just because of that one simple rule. I saw that, and that's just one person's testimony. I'm sure there's a whole nation. I'll bet real money there's a whole nation of employees or former employees that have seen exactly this kind of stuff, depending on whatever the regulation or policy that has been placed into effect. So do we expect this to happen once Biden gets his taxation plan up and running? Yeah. But only this time now with the internet age, we're keeping everything notarized for the public. Everybody out there, post your testimony. Everybody out there, post your testimony. Somewhere down the line, it's going to go right back to the leaders that will tax them and fine them and charge them with this babbling bullcrap of being this great company that's providing jobs and industrial jobs and, providing healthcare and safety and all this other garbage, Yeah, so you gave the guy a hard hat or some gloves. Good for you, corporation. But what good is it when you're already booting them out? When you're booting them out before it's even time for them to get hired during the trial administration, That's a completely worthless effort into saying that you care. And so, yeah, tax these corporations, tax the wealthy, tax them, and then take it another step further. Charge them with all these other charges and fees. You're using a loophole to get rid of people so you can keep the majority of the wealth. Which technically corporations keep the majority of the wealth regardless. As sure as it's a corporation. Even in an industrial corporation. A corporation makes far more money than it does spending on its employees. Far more. They're in the hundreds of millions and they're spending tens of millions or less because of the deregulations, or less on employees, and they get to fire and drop whoever, and they get to break contracts with those who are just temps. You see what I'm saying now? There's a lot of loopholes. There's a lot of alternative routes for corporations to go. And they will go there. So tax them. We need this bill to actually pass. Biden, good job. Get them. Hurt them if you can. If not, don't worry about it. Just make sure that they pay their fair share of taxes. All right, I'm on my last minute. Sorry about that. And I kind of went a little bit all over the place, and I do apologize for that. But you see how they're interconnected. They're intertwined in some parts. Y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. Stay safe out there. Stay safe out there. Keep wearing your masks. Even people like me who are vaccinated, I'm still wearing them despite the fact that I'm not going into mass crowds. That's a different comment for right now. It's time for me to close. You take care. Y'all take it easy. Stay safe out there. This is Chris's Comments. Out.